Welcome, everyone, to the Change Starts Here podcast. I'm your host, Dustin Odham, and I hope this podcast finds you well as you start your new year. We got off track a little bit. I don't know if I talked about it in the last podcast, but in late November, early December, I was in and out of doctor's offices and potential hospital stays and all the fun stuff, and on copious amounts of prednisone. If you guys have never been on prednisone can be super helpful, but also can be when you're on high doses for a long period of time can be really tough. So we got off schedule a little bit. So today we're going to wrap up the 4 essential roles of leadership, and then next week I have kind of a personal podcast challenge for you all as you go into the next year. I'm going to talk about some of my planning that I'm doing myself and my kids, and just give you guys a challenge of how you guys can dive into make 2024 an even better year than 2023. So with that, I just want to get started. We've spent the last, 4 months now going through the 4 essential roles of leadership, which is some of my favorite content. As a refresher, the 4 roles are: first, inspire trust; second, create vision; third, execute strategy; and fourth, coach potential. So in the dynamic world of education, one of the things I love most about education is, we get to be administrators, we get to be mentors, we get to be curriculum architects. We get to, tutors. It feels like you get to do so many things and wear so many different hats. But today, I just want to focus on one of those key areas, which is the power of being a coach of potential. It's not just about guiding educators or shaping students. It's about recognizing the untapped potential and talent that each person, adult or student, has within your academic community. So before we start, I just want to challenge you to pause for a moment and think about everyone under your leadership. Whether it's your classroom of kids, whether it's your school of adults, whether you're in the district office. And honestly, think about some of the toughest folks that you've had in terms of being able to relate, and ask yourself, are you looking for the genius that they have each and every day? Are you trying to figure out what their potential and gift is, or are you focused on the things that are frustrating and focusing on the differences you have? I shared this quote the other day with a good friend of mine who was struggling with some leadership challenges of his own. And it's my favorite quote. It is Dr. Covey's quote on leadership, which is, leadership is communicating people's worth and potential so clearly they're inspired to see it in themselves. Again, I'll say it again. Leadership is communicating someone's worth and potential so clearly that they are inspired to see it within themselves. As educational leaders, our impact extends beyond the confines of a syllabus. I look at it as we're the architects of inspiration, and our role as a coach is probably the most pivotal one that we can have within a school building or within a district. And it's about harnessing the unique skills, experiences, and passions of our team members. So again, going back to looking for that unique genius, ask yourself and think about, what unique skill does this person have? What unique experiences do they have? And sometimes you ask the questions to find out what their experiences in life are, so that you can figure out what their talents and genius is. And then also understanding what their passions are. So imagine a faculty not just imparting knowledge, but embodying the spirit of continuous learning, becoming beacons of inspiration for students they guide, not just teachers that are working their way through a unit plan. As each of you know, as you're listening, coaching potential goes well beyond a classroom. It's about creating a culture where everyone feels empowered to contribute their best, fostering an environment where innovation and creativity flourish. So often I find when I go into schools, there's a lot of rule followers, and I'm not trying to encourage people breaking rules. My wife and I have a fun debate about this often. But in order to get innovation, people have to feel confident that they can bring their whole selves to the table wherever they're at. And they have to have they have to get rid of that fear of failure in a way. And so ask yourself, are you creating an environment that fosters that innovation, where they feel free to bring their whole selves to your job, to your team every single day, and they have the confidence that they can fail forward? Now, they don't want to continue to repeat failures, but they can continue to fail forward. This is about acknowledging that every member of our community, from the newest teacher to the seasoned veteran to your school bus driver or your custodian, has a wealth of untapped potential waiting to be unlocked. Consider our students, not just the recipients of knowledge, not just the seeds of potential waiting to sprout, but our coaching should nurture their curiosity. That's the thing that I think about most with my students from the past, as well as my kids now, is how do I just spark curiosity and teach them how to pursue that curiosity? We can provide tools for exploration and instill confidence to navigate a world that is in constant change. The goal shouldn't be just academic success. Being a coach of potential requires us to be attuned to the needs of our team, to understand their aspirations and align them with the vision of the classroom, the school, or the district. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach, but a personalized, dynamic coaching style that amplifies strengths and addresses weaknesses. If you're like me, you're probably thinking, okay, that's great, Dustin, but how do you do this? And so for us at FranklinCovey, we believe leaders coach potential by using feedback, practicing key coaching skills, and implementing a coaching framework of sorts. So first, feedback. Giving frequent feedback is an important way to reinforce great work, intentionally build team culture, and help improve performance. I know there's a lot of principles. I can think about one of the first assignments I had at a high school, helping them go from a F school to an A school. And their assistant principals who were in charge of improving teaching and learning at different grade levels and different subject areas were terrified to go have observations and then meet with feedback and give frequent feedback. And once they got over the hump and it became something not scary, both for the teacher and the administrator, the teachers craved it and the administrators enjoyed it, and it became consistent and constant. And I would say that did more for moving the needle than anything else, opening the door to have two-way conversations of critique and create those environments that foster, again, innovation, became the catalyst for their change. And so the first step, again, is feedback, and it's frequent feedback. Second, key coaching skills. Everybody in education has some sort of coaching system that they're using. So I'm not trying to say that we have the only system. So when you think about, coaching skills, there are three skills that I think about that are really important: listening, questioning. So coming up with good questions, listening with your head and your heart. So not just for certain answers, but listening with your head and heart. Questioning, just being super curious, and then acknowledging that you don't know it all, acknowledging that strengths and weaknesses, being vulnerable. Those three skills to me set aside, their agendas, explore options, and help build capacity more than anything else. And the last one is coaching framework. So the coaching framework that we begins individually with personal preparation and continues with the coach and coachee working towards through 4 steps. And so when I think about the 4 key steps of really high level coaching would be clarifying, learning, exploring, and then committing, right? So clarify what we're going after, learning from each other about the experience, exploring options together, not just being told what to do, but trying to figure out an option that your key person can take ownership of, and then committing. And then that goes back to the feedback loop of frequent feedback of how are we doing on our commitments? Were they the right commitments, and how do we need to change? So I'll wrap up with this. I know this has already been a little bit longer than our last one, but as we head into 2024, I want to encourage you to embrace this 4th role with vigor. Look around you, be present, be engaged, be committed to sculpting a legacy of excellence. But most importantly, look at each person around you. And I would challenge each of you, including myself, to look at the folks that we've not had the strongest relationship and ask ourselves, do we know what unique skill sets they have? Do you know the unique experiences that they've had in life that they may not have shared with you at this point that could bring a wealth of knowledge to the table? Do you know what their hopes and dreams are? Do you know what kind of legacy that they hope to leave as an educator? Ask yourself that. And then if you don't, figure out a way to find that out information by building a relationship with that person. I feel like that to me is the power of coaching potential. Do I know the unique skills? Do I know the unique experiences? Do I know the passions, aspirations of each of my team members? And once you have that, am I utilizing those things to the fullest for us to accomplish our mission? I feel like if you do that in this coming year, your team is going to flourish in ways that you never thought is possible. So again, as I've said since the beginning of this series, the 4 central roles of leadership is some of our favorite content that we have in this organization because it's uh, kind of a sampler pattern of, and I'm sure our organization hates when I say that, but of 7 habits of speed of trust, of uh, 40x. Again, the 4 roles are inspire trust. Can you create trust in your building with the people around you? 2, create vision. Can you create a compelling vision for your team to follow? 3, a lot of people are really good at creating vision, but can you execute a strategy to get the right results? And then 4, I think is so important. I think if you can do this well, it'll help you accomplish so many other challenges. But are you coaching potential? Do you know the unique genius of every student and every adult that is uh, on your team? If you do that well, I feel like a lot of the other things can come with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Obviously, you can tell I am passionate about this. It's not easy trying to figure out, um, sometimes where you don't have a strong relationship with someone, it's tough to push past that to get to a space of authenticity, to figure out what person's skill sets, strengths, aspirations, passions are. But that work is so worth it. And so I just encourage you to get vulnerable in 2024, dive into the people around you and tap into their unmet potential. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. And we'll be back next week with a more of a personal episode to kind of kick off the year. Again, we got 1 week pushed back thanks to my challenges. For those of you who are wondering, I am okay. For those of you who are watching on video, I'm a little bit nervous because I have what they call moon face from prednisone. So again, I'll talk a little bit more about it next week. But as you can tell, I have more energy. Hopefully I sound better. Maybe I don't, but hopefully I sound better. And I am really excited about what 2024 brings for all of us. So as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for being an avid supporter. If you've heard anything today that can be an encouragement to someone else, please share this podcast with them. I appreciate you and have an awesome, awesome day and an awesome start to your new year.